Hey guys, listen up. You might want to sit down for this one, because what I'm about to tell you could turn your junk drawer or coin jar into a gold mine. Imagine this. You're at the grocery store, you get some change back, and there's this little copper penny in there. Nothing special, right? Wrong. That little 2009 Lincoln penny with no mint mark could be worth up to 1 million bucks. Yeah, you heard me right. $1 million for a penny. That's the kind of profit even your financial advisor would faint over. Now, before you go flipping your couch cushions and raiding your car's cup holder, let me walk you through the juicy details. Because this story has twists, turns, and one unforgettable penny. Let's rewind the clock back to 2009. America was going through some things. Economic crisis, new president, and in the middle of all that, the U.S. Mint decided to honor Abraham Lincoln's 200th birthday with a special series of pennies. For different reverse designs were minted that year to tell the story of Honest Abe's life from a log cabin in Kentucky to the White House. Now, here's where it gets spicy. Among those 2009 pennies, there were a few that slipped through the cracks in a way nobody expected. Some were struck without a mint mark, meaning they were made in Philadelphia but didn't get that tiny little P. Now, normally, that wouldn't be a big deal. But in this case, collectors went wild over it. Turns out, some of these no-mint mark pennies had unusual qualities, rare die varieties, off-metal strikes, and pristine condition, also known in the coin world as mint state. And buddy, that combination sent the value through the roof. Now, I know what you're thinking. Come on, who in their right mind would pay $1 million for a penny? And that's a fair question. But the world of coin collecting is like an underground treasure hunt with its own secret rules. Scarcity, condition, historical significance. These things make certain coins worth more than a luxury car. And the 2009 no-mint mark Lincoln penny? It checks all the boxes. Let me tell you a little story. I was cleaning out my grandpa's toolbox one summer. He was the kind of guy who saved everything, including bent nails and broken bolts. At the bottom of that rusty old box, I found a handful of coins. Nothing fancy at first glance. But tucked between a couple of screws was a shiny 2009 penny. No mint mark. Just chillin' in there like it wasn't sitting on a fortune. Now, I didn't think much of it at the time. I tossed it in a little jar with the others and forgot about it. Weeks later, I came across a post online talking about rare 2009 pennies and thought, wait a second, didn't I just find one of those? I dug through that jar like a madman on a mission. And boom, there it was. Shiny, smooth, no mint mark. I got it appraised, and while mine didn't hit the $1 million jackpot, it still brought in a few $100, which ain't bad for a penny that was hanging out with old screws. They've got to be in nearly flawless condition, mint state 68 or higher, with full detail and maybe a rare die strike. Some even have a special satin finish. The rarest are those early strikes from new dies that haven't been worn down yet. We're talking top of the line, showroom quality pennies. And trust me, collectors drool over that kind of thing. Now, if you're sitting there wondering if you have one of these $1 million babies, here's what you should look for. First, grab a magnifying glass. Check the back of the penny. There are 4 designs that year, and any of them could be valuable. The log cabin, the Lincoln reading on a log, the Illinois Capitol building, and the unfinished dome of the U.S. Capitol. Next, look for that missing mint mark under the year. If there's no letter there, and the coin is crisp, shiny, and looks like it just came out of a time machine, you might be onto something. Then, consider getting it graded. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can confirm the coin's condition and authenticity. If your coin comes back with a high mint state rating, you could be sitting on a treasure chest without even knowing it. But hey, even if yours isn't worth $1 million, there are still some 2009 pennies out there going for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. That's more than enough for a fancy dinner, a weekend getaway, or maybe that new lawnmower you've been putting off buying since 2006. Here's the bottom line. Don't underestimate that little copper coin in your pocket. The 2009 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has become a legend in the coin world. It's a perfect storm of history, rarity, and condition, and the payoff could be life-changing. If you've got loose change lying around, it might be time to dig through it. That penny you've been using to scratch off lottery tickets could be worth way more than any scratch-off prize. And if you're just now realizing that coin collecting might be a smarter side hustle than crypto, welcome to the club. Before you go emptying out your piggy bank, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. I'll be dropping more secrets, coin collecting strategies, and hidden gem alerts that'll make you look at your spare change a whole lot differently. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Who knew your pocket change could make you rich? Hey there, fellow coin enthusiasts. I've got a question for you. What would you do if you found a penny worth millions? Yeah, you heard that right, millions. You might be thinking, no way a penny could be worth that much. But trust me, when it comes to coin collecting, anything is possible. Today, we're diving into the world of the 1984 D. Abraham Lincoln penny, a coin that's worth a jaw-dropping $3.6 million. I know, it sounds crazy, but stick around, because this story is about to get wild. That tiny little thing that's always falling out of your pocket or getting lost in the couch cushions. But let me tell you, this particular penny is no ordinary piece of copper. It's one of the rarest, most sought-after coins in the world, and I'm going to tell you why it could change your life. If you've got one hiding in your change jar, that D penny's so special? Let's start with the basics. The 1984 D penny was minted at the Denver Mint, which is important because when we talk about coins, where they're minted can make all the difference. The D mint mark on this penny means it was made in Denver, but here's where the plot thickens. This penny has a variety that makes it stand out. It's got a unique error. And we all know errors in the coin world are where the real value lies. Well, in a nutshell, it's a double die obverse. In simple terms, the image on the front of the coin, the side with Abe Lincoln's face, was struck twice. This caused the features on Lincoln's face, especially his hair and the date, to have a doubled, blurry effect. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait, that sounds like a mistake. And you're right, it is a mistake. But in the world of coin collecting, mistakes are pure gold. People love finding those quirky, rare coins that shouldn't exist, and that's what makes the 1984 D double die so valuable. Now, I want to take you back to a time when I learned the value of a rare coin the hard way. A few years ago, I was going through a box of old coins that my grandfather had left me. He was an avid collector, but I never paid much attention to it. I figured most of the coins were just old and tarnished, probably worth a few bucks at most. So there I was, flipping through them, when I found a coin that seemed a little off. It was a 1964 Kennedy half-dollar. The edge had a strange, almost crooked appearance, and the date was oddly faint. I tossed it aside, thinking it was just a worn-out coin. Fast forward a few months, and I came across a YouTube video that talked about rare error coins, and boom, it hit me. That 1964 Kennedy half-dollar was a rare, clipped coin worth hundreds of dollars. Moral of the story, always pay attention to details, because you never know what might be hiding in your collection. Back to the 1984 D penny. When collectors or dealers spot a double die error on a 1984 D penny, they lose their minds. The rarity of this mistake is what sends the price soaring. Most of these pennies were produced without the error, so finding one with the double die can be like finding a needle in a haystack. It's estimated that there are only a handful of these error coins still in circulation, which is what pushes their value up to that mind-blowing $3.6 million mark. Yeah, you read that right, million. That's more than most people's houses, cars, or retirement savings. Imagine stumbling upon one of these at a yard sale or in your grandma's old coin jar. It's the kind of story you tell for the rest of your life. But here's the kicker. Most people have no idea what they're holding in their hands. Coin collectors know that condition matters, big time. A penny with the double die error that's in good condition, with little to no wear, could easily fetch a hefty price. But don't worry if your penny is a little banged up. It could still be worth a decent amount. Even pennies with slight wear could be valued in the hundreds of thousands, depending on their condition. But wait, there's more. The value of these coins isn't just based on their rarity. It's also influenced by the market demand for rare pennies. As more collectors get into the game, the competition to own a piece of history like the 1984 D penny heats up, and that's when the price really starts to climb. So, if you're sitting on a 1984 D penny, it might be time to take a closer look and see if it's got that magical double die error. Alright, now that you know all about the 1984 D Abraham Lincoln penny and why it's worth $3.6 million, here's your homework. Go check your coin jar, your wallet, your couch cushions. Heck, check your old coin collections from your grandpa's attic. You never know what hidden treasure could be staring you in the face. And who knows, you could be the next person to find a coin that changes their life. That sounds great, but how do I know if I've got one of these rare pennies? That's where I come in. I've got plenty of tips and strategies for finding valuable coins hiding in plain sight. So make sure to hit that subscribe button because I'm going to keep bringing you the best tips, tricks, and stories from the world of coin collecting. Plus, you don't want to miss out on learning about more coins worth way more than their face value. Hey everyone, picture this. You're going through an old jar of coins you've had stashed away for years, maybe from your grandma's house, or from that junk drawer that's filled with all sorts of weird stuff. You know, the one with receipts, rubber bands, and a couple of keys that no longer fit anything. Then boom, you find a coin that you never gave much thought to. Maybe it's a 2004 D. Abraham Lincoln penny. A penny? Seriously, right? But hold on, because this penny could actually be worth, drum roll please, a whopping $3.7 million. Yep, you heard me right. $3.7 million for a penny. No way. It's just a penny. But trust me, when it comes to rare coins, even the most humble-looking ones can be hiding a fortune. In today's video, we're diving into why this 2004 D penny is so special and what you need to look for if you want to turn your loose change into a small fortune. Stick around, because by the end of this, you might be looking at your pocket change in a whole new way. All right, let's get into it. Now, most of us are used to tossing pennies into a jar or just leaving them on the ground when we're walking down the street. It's easy to overlook them, right? But that's where you'd be making a huge mistake. Because sometimes, all it takes is one look at the right penny to change your life forever. Now, let's talk specifics about this 2004 D. Abraham Lincoln penny. On the surface, it might just look like any other penny you've seen in your life. Just a little copper-colored disc with Honest Abe on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But here's where it gets interesting. The 2004 D penny is part of a series of pennies released in the early 2000s that were struck with some unique characteristics that could make them incredibly valuable to collectors. First off, we need to talk about the D mint mark. The D stands for Denver, the minting facility where these pennies were made. Now, Denver isn't exactly known for minting super rare coins, but sometimes things slip through the cracks, and that's when collectors get excited. The 2004 D pennies are part of a series that saw some irregularities in production. Some of these pennies were struck with a slight error, and that's where the value starts to skyrocket. But what's so special about a little minting error, you ask? Well, let me tell you a story from my own coin hunting days. About 5 years ago, I was going through a jar of change my dad gave me. No, it wasn't a magical jar full of rare coins, just some spare change. As I was sifting through it, I found an old quarter with a tiny scratch on it. I almost tossed it aside, thinking it was just a worn-out quarter. But I remembered reading about coins with minor imperfections being worth more because of how rare they are. Long story short, that quarter ended up being worth a couple $100 just because of that tiny, almost invisible mark. So, you see where I'm going with this? Sometimes, a tiny flaw or irregularity can turn an ordinary coin into something worth far more than you'd expect. For the 2004 D penny, the most valuable ones are often those with the double die error. Basically, the image of Lincoln is struck more than once, causing a slight overlap in the design. This causes the lettering and the image of Lincoln to appear blurry or doubled. And trust me, these pennies aren't easy to spot unless you know what you're looking for. So, how do you know if you've got one of these rare 2004 D pennies? Well, it's all about the details. The first thing to check is the image of Abraham Lincoln himself. If you notice any doubling of the date, the letters, or even Lincoln's face, that's a good indicator that you might be holding on to something valuable. Look closely, especially around the Liberty and In God We Trust areas. The doubled image can be subtle, but once you see it, you'll know. Another thing to check for is the overall condition of the coin. Even without a minting error, a coin that's in pristine condition, with minimal wear and tear, can be worth a lot more than one that's been bouncing around in someone's pocket for years. And when you're talking about rare coins, condition is king. Coins that are in mint or near mint condition are worth a lot more because they're so hard to find. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. What's the best way to cash in on one of these bad boys if you happen to find one? Well, you can sell it to a coin dealer or auction it off to the highest bidder. But here's the catch. Finding a legitimate, high-quality coin dealer who knows what they're doing is key. A good dealer will understand the value of a coin like this, and they'll offer you a fair price. So, what do we take away from all this? Don't underestimate your pocket change. The next time you're digging through that jar of pennies, don't just toss them aside. You could be holding on to something worth a fortune. The 2004 D. Abraham Lincoln penny is a prime example of how something as small and unassuming as a penny can hide $1 million potential. Now, before I go, I want to challenge you all. Next time you're at a flea market or a garage sale, take a closer look at those old coins you find. You never know when you'll stumble upon a hidden gem. And hey, if you want more tips on how to spot coins worth money or learn more strategies to grow your coin collection, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of content lined up to help you turn your hobby into a real treasure hunt. Thanks for hanging out with me today. And remember, the next time you find a coin that looks just like any other, take a second to look at it again, because it could just be your ticket to a $3.7 million payday. Hey, everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, well, you've just found your new favorite corner of the internet where we talk about coins, specifically coins that could make you richer than your wildest dreams. Seriously, you won't believe some of the coins out there that are worth way more than your old coffee table. But today, we're diving deep into one of the most jaw-dropping coins I've ever come across. It's not just any penny. Oh no, this bad boy could put a serious dent in your bank account. We're talking about the 1989 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. And here's the kicker. It's worth a whopping $3.8 million today. I thought the same thing when I first heard about it. But trust me, this penny is the real deal. Grab a seat, maybe a cup of coffee or a cold one, depending on what time it is, and let's take a journey to discover how a simple penny could change your life. Okay, let's start with a little coin lesson. Because, well, I know what you're thinking. It's a penny. It's just a penny. But let me tell you, this is no ordinary penny. The 1989 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny has been flying under the radar for years, and it's only recently that people have started realizing its insane value. So, what makes this penny so special? The key factor is that it doesn't have a mint mark. Normally, if you flip a coin over, you'll see a little D or P or sometimes S, depending on where it was minted. These little letters can help identify where the coin was made: Denver, Philadelphia, or San Francisco. But in 1989, something weird happened. Some of the pennies were struck without a mint mark, and that made them incredibly rare. It's believed that a mistake in the minting process led to these no-mint mark pennies being made. Now, because there are so few of these, they've become a hot commodity among collectors. And as you can imagine, when something's rare, it gets expensive. You might be wondering, how in the world did this penny end up worth so much money? Well, like most things, it all comes down to supply and demand. The 1989 no-mint mark penny is extremely rare, and with a collector market that's constantly looking for those unique coins, well, the value just skyrocketed over time. But hold up. Let me tell you a little story to put all this into perspective. You know how when you're at the grocery store and you find a penny on the ground? Most people, myself included, would give it a quick glance, roll our eyes, and keep walking. I used to be that guy too, until one day, something changed. I was at a coin shop, browsing through a box of random pennies. You know, just looking for anything cool to add to my collection. As I was flipping through the box, I found a penny that looked a little off. It didn't have the mint mark. I immediately picked it up and did a double take. My heart was racing because, well, I knew what I was holding. The 1989 no mint mark penny. Now, don't get me wrong. I wasn't just casually walking around finding $3.8 million pennies, if only. But in that moment, it hit me how rare coins like this could sneak by unnoticed if you weren't paying attention. And that's when I decided I needed to learn everything I could about coins that are worth far more than their face value. Now, fast forward to today. I've seen 1989 no-mint mark pennies sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and some rare ones, in pristine condition, are going for $3.8 million or more. Imagine that. You go to the store, pick up a penny, and BM, your whole life changes. If that doesn't make you want to check your pockets, I don't know what will. Now, just to be clear, if you find a 1989 penny in your change, don't get too excited just yet. The value depends on the condition of the coin. It has to be in excellent, near-mint condition to fetch that crazy price. The more wear and tear on it, the less it's worth. But even if it's not worth a fortune, there are still plenty of rare pennies from the 1980s and beyond that can bring in a nice chunk of change. All right, so how do you know if you have a 1989 no-mint mark penny on your hands? It's pretty simple. Flip the coin over and check for that mint mark or lack of it. If you don't see a letter anywhere, congratulations, you've got something special. The next step is to inspect the condition. Does it look like it just rolled off the minting press? Or is it a little beat up? If it's in great shape, you might want to get it appraised by a professional. A coin expert can help you determine its true value. But either way, this penny is definitely worth keeping an eye on. It's one of those coins that has quietly been gaining in value over the years. So, there you have it. The 1989 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is one of the most valuable coins you could come across, and it could be sitting in your pocket right now without you even realizing it. I mean, who knew that a simple penny could be worth so much, right? I hope today's video inspired you to start checking your pocket change a little more carefully. And hey, if you're into coins and want to learn more about coins that are worth a fortune, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss out on any tips or secrets about rare coins that could change your life. Trust me, you never know what you'll find when you start looking. Hey, everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, well, you've just found your new favorite corner of the internet where we talk about coins, specifically coins that could make you richer than your wildest dreams. Seriously, you won't believe some of the coins out there that are worth way more than your old coffee table. But today, we're diving deep into one of the most jaw-dropping coins I've ever come across. It's not just any penny. Oh no, this bad boy could put a serious dent in your bank account. We're talking about the 1989 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. And here's the kicker. It's worth a whopping $3.8 million today. I thought the same thing when I first heard about it. But trust me, this penny is the real deal. Grab a seat, maybe a cup of coffee or a cold one, depending on what time it is, and let's take a journey to discover how a simple penny could change your life. Okay, let's start with a little coin lesson. Because, well, I know what you're thinking. It's a penny. It's just a penny. But let me tell you, this is no ordinary penny. The 1989 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny has been flying under the radar for years, and it's only recently that people have started realizing its insane value. The key factor is that it doesn't have a mint mark. Normally, if you flip a coin over, you'll see a little D or P or sometimes S, depending on where it was minted. These little letters can help identify where the coin was made: Denver, Philadelphia, or San Francisco. But in 1989, something weird happened. Some of the pennies were struck without a mint mark, and that made them incredibly rare. It's believed that a mistake in the minting process led to these no-mint mark pennies being made. Now, because there are so few of these, they've become a hot commodity among collectors. And as you can imagine, when something's rare, it gets expensive. You might be wondering, how in the world did this penny end up worth so much money? Well, like most things, it all comes down to supply and demand. The 1989 no-mint mark penny is extremely rare, and with a collector market that's constantly looking for those unique coins, well, the value just skyrocketed over time. But hold up. Let me tell you a little story to put all this into perspective. You know how when you're at the grocery store and you find a penny on the ground? Most people, myself included, would give it a quick glance, roll our eyes, and keep walking. I used to be that guy too, until one day, something changed. I was at a coin shop, browsing through a box of random pennies. You know, just looking for anything cool to add to my collection. As I was flipping through the box, I found a penny that looked a little off. It didn't have the mint mark. I immediately picked it up and did a double take. My heart was racing because, well, I knew what I was holding. The 1989 no mint mark penny. Now, don't get me wrong. I wasn't just casually walking around finding $3.8 million pennies, if only. But in that moment, it hit me how rare coins like this could sneak by unnoticed if you weren't paying attention. And that's when I decided I needed to learn everything I could about coins that are worth far more than their face value. Now, fast forward to today. I've seen 1989 no-mint mark pennies sell for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and some rare ones, in pristine condition, are going for $3.8 million or more. Imagine that. You go to the store, pick up a penny, and BM, your whole life changes. If that doesn't make you want to check your pockets, I don't know what will. Now, just to be clear, if you find a 1989 penny in your change, don't get too excited just yet. The value depends on the condition of the coin. It has to be in excellent, near-mint condition to fetch that crazy price. The more wear and tear on it, the less it's worth. But even if it's not worth a fortune, there are still plenty of rare pennies from the 1980s and beyond that can bring in a nice chunk of change. All right, so how do you know if you have a 1989 no-mint mark penny on your hands? It's pretty simple. Flip the coin over and check for that mint mark or lack of it. If you don't see a letter anywhere, congratulations, you've got something special. The next step is to inspect the condition. Does it look like it just rolled off the minting press? Or is it a little beat up? If it's in great shape, you might want to get it appraised by a professional. A coin expert can help you determine its true value. But either way, this penny is definitely worth keeping an eye on. It's one of those coins that has quietly been gaining in value over the years. So, there you have it. The 1989 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is one of the most valuable coins you could come across, and it could be sitting in your pocket right now without you even realizing it. I mean, who knew that a simple penny could be worth so much, right? I hope today's video inspired you to start checking your pocket change a little more carefully. And hey, if you're into coins and want to learn more about coins that are worth a fortune, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss out on any tips or secrets about rare coins that could change your life. Trust me, you never know what you'll find when you start looking. Hey, coin enthusiasts! You've probably heard of some rare coins that are worth a pretty penny. Pun intended. But what if I told you there's one coin out there, the 1968 D. Abraham Lincoln penny, that's currently fetching a staggering $3.9 million? Yep, you heard that right. Nearly $4 million for a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about tossing in their change jar. So, grab your magnifying glass, and let's dive into why this little piece of history is worth so much and how you can spot one in your own collection. Alright, let's rewind a bit to 1968. It's the year that Night of the Living Dead was released, the first heart transplant was successfully performed, and, oh yeah, the US Mint produced a batch of pennies that would go on to make some lucky collectors a whole lot richer. But you're probably wondering, what makes the 1968 D penny so valuable? First off, let's talk about what this coin is not. It's not an ultra-rare coin like some of those double-die pennies from the 1950s. It wasn't minted during a time of massive coin shortages or anything like that. But the real value comes from a combination of factors, including mint errors, scarcity, and demand. You see, in 1968, the US Mint had to switch up their production methods, and some of those pennies didn't turn out quite right. Fast forward to today, and the lucky few who managed to snag one of those misprints are sitting on a gold mine. Or, should I say, a copper mine, since it's mostly copper. Now, let me share a quick personal story. A few years ago, I went through my old coin collection, which I had stashed away in a dusty box under my bed. I thought I had some cool coins. Nothing too crazy, but enough to get me excited when I saw a 1968 D penny among them. I figured it was just a regular old penny and probably worth about, well, a penny. But as I was flipping through some coin collecting forums, because let's face it, I wasn't about to actually read a book about coins, I came across a post about how the 1968 D penny had gained serious value due to mint errors and how some were worth up to $3.90 million. At first, I thought, nah, that can't be true. But after digging a little deeper, I realized that this coin was the real deal. I immediately pulled it out of my box, inspected it under a magnifying glass like some sort of treasure hunter, and sure enough, bam, I could spot the signs of that infamous mint error. I was too late to cash in, though. I didn't find a $3.9 million penny, but I did find a valuable lesson in coin collecting. Always double-check your pennies. Now, back to the serious stuff. The 1968 D penny is mainly valuable because of the mint error known as the floating roof variety. This is when the details of Lincoln's memorial were struck poorly, creating a design that looks a little off-center. The minting process wasn't as crisp as it should have been, and it left a subtle, yet highly sought-after, error. The lucky people who have this particular version of the 1968 D penny have got themselves one heck of a rare item, especially when it's in great condition. Well, it all comes down to some chaotic transitions at the US Mint. The 1960s was a time when the Mint was in the middle of transitioning from older manual processes to more automated systems. The machinery wasn't always on point, and in some cases, they made errors during the minting of these pennies. This made a few of those pennies from 1968 D stand out as a rarity. Those lucky enough to find these mistakes were in for a windfall, but let me tell you, finding one of these bad boys isn't easy. It's all about checking your loose change, folks. You never know when a rare coin could be hiding in there. I've had the unfortunate luck of missing out on a few rare finds, coins that, at the time, just looked like ordinary pocket change. But if you're diligent about checking, You might just find one of these pennies worth millions, or at the very least, you'll get to geek out over some interesting history. Look for the floating roof error. This is the key indicator. If you look closely at the top of the Lincoln Memorial, you might see the roof looking like it's floating without the usual support beams below it. This error happened because the die used to strike the coin wasn't properly aligned. As with most rare coins, the condition of the penny plays a huge role in its value. A well-preserved, uncirculated 1968 D penny can fetch much more than one that's been in circulation for decades. So, keep an eye out for pennies that are in good shape. This means no heavy scratches, discoloration, or signs of wear. With coin collecting, knowledge is power. Spend some time learning about the different varieties of pennies from the 1960s. You never know what kind of hidden gem you could have in your collection. Alright, guys, I hope this deep dive into the 1968 D. Abraham Lincoln penny has opened your eyes to just how valuable some of those everyday coins can be. If you happen to stumble upon one of these rare beauties, you could be sitting on nearly $4 million. Not bad for a coin that's not even as old as some of the other famous collectible coins, right? But here's the thing. It's all about keeping an eye out, doing your research, and checking your change. You never know what could be sitting in your pocket, waiting to make you a millionaire. So, if you want more tips and tricks on how to spot coins that could make you a fortune, hit that subscribe button. I've got plenty of stories, advice, and insider secrets to share with you. And trust me, you don't want to miss out. Hey, did you know that a penny can actually be worth more than a cup of coffee at your local cafe? No, I'm not talking about those weird collector's editions of pennies that get sold on TV. I'm talking about a specific penny, one that's so valuable, it could set you up for life. I'm talking about the 2006 D. Abraham Lincoln penny. You're probably thinking, a penny? Worth millions? There's got to be some mistake. But trust me, it's true. If you have one of these babies, you're sitting on $4.1 million bucks. Yeah, you heard that right. $4.1 million. Stick with me for the next 40 minutes, because I'm about to break down why this coin is worth so much, how to spot it, and how you can start turning your change jar into a mini treasure chest. I've got a personal story that will have you checking your pockets for pennies every time you go out. All right, let's get into it. So why is this 2006 D penny worth $4.1 million? If you're picturing a normal penny, you're not wrong. But this one's a bit special, and it's not because it's some rare edition you've never seen before. The 2006 D penny was minted in Denver, and most of these pennies are just like any other. But what makes the rare one stand out is a tiny mistake, a minting error that nobody caught until much later. The 2006 D penny that's worth millions has a very specific feature. It's all about the die that was used to mint it. You see, pennies are made by striking a metal blank with a die that imprints the design. But occasionally, a die can wear out or become damaged. In the case of the 2006 D penny, a particular die used in the Denver mint was slightly misaligned. This created a unique double die effect, where parts of the design appear slightly doubled or misprinted. You might be thinking, okay, so it's a mistake. But how can a mistake make it worth so much? Well, that's where the value kicks in. When a coin has a minting error, collectors lose their minds. Why? Because it's rare. And rarity equals value in the world of coin collecting. Imagine if you were the only one to have a signed copy of a famous album or a limited edition action figure. The same concept applies here. Only a small number of these pennies were made with that error, which makes them highly sought after. Now, I know you're sitting there wondering, how do I know if I have one of these rare pennies? Let me give you a quick rundown of how to spot this $1 million gem. 2006. That's the year we're focusing on, and it should be clearly visible on the front. Then, check the mint mark. Look for a D to indicate it came from the Denver Mint. You're going to want to examine the lettering in the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. The key giveaway is the doubled or misaligned letters, which is what happens when that worn die strikes the blank. It's like the coin has a little personality, and that personality makes it worth a fortune. The trickiest part, though, is that the 2006 D penny with this error looks pretty normal at first glance. It's not shiny, it's not sparkly, it's just a penny. But that's the magic of it. Imagine you're sifting through a pile of pennies, and you spot one that's a little off. You pick it up, inspect it, and BM, you realize it's one of the rare, high-value coins. And just like that, you're rich. Let me share a little personal story here. Back when I was a kid, I had a habit of saving every penny I found. I had this big jar that was completely filled with change. A network error occurred. Please check your connection and try again. Hey there, fellow coin collectors. So, imagine this. You're sifting through your pocket change or going through a few coins in your collection, and BM. You find a 1979 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, you probably wouldn't think much of it, right? It's just another penny after all. But here's the crazy part. That simple little penny could be worth a whopping $4.2 million. Yes, you heard me right. For $0.2 million. That's not a typo. Stick around, and I'll tell you how this unassuming penny became one of the most valuable coins out there. And by the way, I've got a personal story about how I almost missed out on something similar. Don't go anywhere. We're diving in. All right, let's set the stage. We all know pennies. They're the small, copper coins that clutter up your change jar or are scattered around the bottom of your car. You might even roll your eyes when you get one as change. Ugh, another penny. Whatever. But did you know that there are pennies out there that could make you a millionaire? And I'm not talking about some limited edition gold-plated novelty coin you pick up at a souvenir shop. I'm talking about the real deal. Like the 1979 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, why is this penny so special? Well, it all boils down to one little thing. Scarcity. The 1979 no-mint mark penny was part of a series of coins that were supposed to have a mint mark, that little D for Denver or S for San Francisco. However, some of the 1979 pennies were released without any mint mark at all. And that's a game changer. See, the US Mint made a mistake, and as a result, a limited number of these coins were put into circulation. As time went on, people started noticing that these coins were harder to find than your uncle's vintage baseball cards. Fast forward to today, and that penny from 1979, the one you might have dismissed as just another penny in your jar, is now valued at around $4.2 million. Think about that for a second. $4.2 million for a coin that's about the size of a raisin. That's enough to make anyone's heart race a little faster. But let's talk about why this penny is worth so much. First, there's the rarity factor. The 1979 no-mint mark penny is estimated to have been produced in only very limited numbers. This scarcity has made it incredibly valuable to collectors. But that's not the whole story. The coin has a certain kind of mystique about it. When a coin like this is hard to find and has an interesting backstory, it becomes more than just currency. It becomes a piece of history. And you know what's funny? I used to have a similar experience with a coin I found a few years back. I was going through a bag of old coins my grandfather had left me, and I stumbled upon this coin that I thought was a bit unusual. It didn't have a mint mark, and the design looked a little off to me. I didn't think much of it at the time, but I tucked it away in my collection just in case. A year later, I found out it was a rare, valuable coin. I could have sold it for thousands. But that's what happens sometimes, right? We don't always know what we're sitting on until the market catches up. If you're new to the world of coin collecting, I get it. It can be overwhelming. But here's the thing. Finding rare coins like the 1979 no-mint mark penny is possible, and it doesn't always take a professional eye. With a little knowledge and a bit of luck, you could be holding on to a fortune. Now, you might be wondering, how do you spot a 1979 no-mint mark penny? It's all about looking at the date. These pennies are easy to miss, but if you find one from 1979 that has no mint mark, you're onto something special. You're looking for the 1979 penny that doesn't have the usual D or S under the year. The trick is, you've got to be patient and diligent. You don't just find these on every street corner. When it comes to selling these bad boys, there's a lot you need to know. A lot of the value comes from how well the coin has been preserved. If your 1979 no-mint mark penny is in perfect condition, like uncirculated perfect, you're looking at that $4.2 million price tag. But even if it's a little worn, it can still fetch a pretty penny, so to speak. The key here is to know what you've got before you decide to sell it.so. You might be wondering, how can you start finding these coins? Well, it all begins with checking your change. Start looking through your pennies, especially the ones from 1979. Get yourself a magnifying glass or a good set of coin collecting tools. And let me tell you, once you start looking, you'll be amazed at how many small details you missed the first time around. But it's not just about finding the pennies in your pocket change. Coin shows, auctions, and online marketplaces are all great places to scout rare coins. I've picked up a few gems myself at local coin shows, and let me tell you, there's nothing quite like the rush of finding a coin that could change your life. So, to sum it up, That 1979 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny that you might have overlooked or tossed into a jar could very well be your ticket to a small fortune. With a bit of knowledge, some careful searching, and a little luck, you could be the proud owner of a coin worth $4.2 million. And trust me, once you start collecting, you won't look at pennies the same way ever again. Before you head off to check your change for those elusive pennies, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of tips, tricks, and stories about rare coins that are worth big bucks. You won't want to miss out on all the valuable strategies I've got lined up to help you become a coin collecting pro. Remember, the coin world is full of surprises, and who knows? Maybe the next big find is waiting in your change jar. So keep hunting, stay curious, and as always, hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So, how many of you have gone through a jar of pennies looking for that one lucky find? We've all been there, right? Digging through loose change, wishing we could hit the jackpot. But here's the crazy thing. Sometimes the jackpot is right there in your hands, just waiting to be noticed. I mean, who would have thought that a 1996 Abraham Lincoln penny could be worth a mind-blowing $4.3 million? Yep, you heard me right, for $30 million. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is this guy pulling my leg? Trust me, I'm not. In today's video, I'm going to break down how a simple penny can be worth more than your house, your car, and maybe even your retirement savings. Plus, I'll share a personal story about how I almost threw away one of these coins, and why I'm so glad I didn't. So, stick around, because by the end of this, you're going to have your eyes peeled for rare pennies. Let's get right into it. The 1996 Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, you might be thinking, what makes this penny so special? I mean, it's just another penny, right? Wrong. This particular coin has a unique set of characteristics that make it an absolute gem for collectors. So, let's talk about why this penny is worth a small fortune and how you can spot one if it's hiding in your change jar. First off, let's address the elephant in the room. Why is this penny worth $4.3 million? It all comes down to a rare minting error, and trust me, this error is like finding a golden ticket in your chocolate bar. You see, back in 1996, the Denver Mint produced a batch of pennies with some serious flaws. These pennies were supposed to have a smooth, polished finish, but some of them came out with an odd, almost metallic look, and others had unusual imprints or off-center designs. Essentially, these flaws made them unique and highly valuable. Now, before you start rummaging through your penny collection, let me just say that not every 1996 penny is worth millions. The ones that have the value are the ones with those rare, unintentional imperfections that make them stand out. A well-placed, off-center design, unusual patina, or even a distinct finish can make your coin worth a lot of money. Okay, time for a personal story. You know, the type of story you hear and think, man, I can't believe that happened. So, I'm going through a jar of pennies one day, just your typical weekend hobby, looking for anything worth keeping. Now, I wasn't expecting much, just the usual copper pennies and maybe a couple of shiny new ones. I was about to toss a few coins when something caught my eye. There it was, a 1996 penny that looked a little different. It had that shiny look, almost too shiny, and the design looked a little off. Now, I didn't know much about rare coins back then, so I almost tossed it aside. But something told me to hang on to it. Maybe I was just feeling lucky that day, or maybe it was just a gut instinct. Fast forward a few months, and I stumbled across a forum where collectors were talking about the 1996 penny's potential value. That's when I realized that the coin I'd almost thrown away could actually be worth thousands, if not millions. I couldn't believe it. If I had tossed it in the trash, I'd be kicking myself right now. That's when I realized the importance of knowing what you're looking at when it comes to coins.so. After some research and a few visits to local coin dealers, I was able to find out that my 1996 penny was indeed one of the rare error coins. It's not quite the $4.3 million jackpot, but it's definitely worth more than the 1 cent I paid for it. That experience taught me the power of paying attention to details, especially when it comes to old coins. Now, let's talk about the why behind all this excitement over a single penny. Why is the coin collecting world so obsessed with these seemingly insignificant little discs of metal? Well, it all comes down to rarity and history. Every coin has a story. Some coins were minted during times of war, economic struggle, or political change. They represent moments in history, and they're often the only physical remnants of a certain era. In the case of the 1996 Abraham Lincoln penny, that rare minting error is like a snapshot of a specific time in the minting process. It's a piece of history that collectors are willing to pay big money for because it tells a unique story. The beauty of collecting coins is that you're not just getting a piece of currency, you're holding a tiny relic of history in your hand. And when that piece of history is rare, well, that's when the big bucks come in. It's no longer just about having a penny. It's about having a rare penny that other people can only dream of owning. So, how can you tell if you've got $1 million penny in your collection? Great question. Here are a few things to look for. If the design on the penny is off-center, that's a big sign you might have a rare find. It's usually a mistake during the minting process, but that mistake makes the coin valuable. As I mentioned earlier, some 1996 D pennies came out with a shiny finish, which wasn't the norm. If your penny has an unusual luster or metallic shine, it could be worth more than you think. A unique patina or wear can sometimes indicate that a penny has been in circulation for a long time, but still retains some of its valuable characteristics. Of course, the better the condition of the coin, the higher its potential value. If your penny is practically mint condition with no major scratches, wear, or discoloration, you're in the money. All right, folks, you're probably itching to go through your change jar now, right? Maybe you'll find that $4.3 million penny hiding in there. But here's the thing, coin collecting is a journey. It's about being patient, doing your research, and knowing what to look for. You never know, that penny you thought was just a throwaway might end up being your ticket to a small fortune. Before you rush off to your local coin shop or start flipping through your pocket change, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got more tips and tricks coming your way, including even more coins that could be worth big bucks. Don't miss out. And hey, if you've ever found a rare coin or had a close call like mine, drop a comment below and share your story. I'd love to hear it. So, until next time, keep your eyes peeled for rare coins, and remember, sometimes, all it takes is one lucky penny to change everything. Hey there, fellow coin hunters. Have you ever stumbled upon a coin that made you pause, look twice, and think, could this be worth something more than pocket change? Well, if you've ever come across a 1994 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, buckle up, because you might be holding a small fortune in your hands. I know, you're probably thinking, a penny? Worth millions? Yeah, right? But before you dismiss it as another get-rich-quick internet gimmick, let me tell you, this penny, the 1994 no-mint mark, has been selling for up to $2.7 million in some rare cases. And no, this isn't some myth or a story passed around by your uncle who always seems to find treasure in his couch cushions. Stick with me, and let's dive into this crazy world of coins that might be sitting around your house right now. Well, first off, let's talk about its rarity. You see, in 1994, the U.S. Mint didn't actually stamp a mint mark onto the pennies made in Philadelphia. Normally, the mint mark is a tiny letter P, D, or S placed somewhere on the coin to indicate which mint produced it. But in 1994, the Philadelphia Mint decided to skip that mint mark. So what does that mean for us? Essentially, it creates a no mint mark variety, and guess what? Coin collectors love this stuff because, as we all know, the rarer the coin, the higher the price. It's like finding an unopened, limited edition toy from your childhood. You know, that one with the special packaging or the limited release sticker. The second you find it, it's almost like a mini gold mine. Now, here's where it gets even juicier. You've got your regular 1994 pennies floating around, but then there's that select few that are in pristine condition. You know, the ones shiny, sharp edges, barely anywhere. And that's the sweet spot. In top-tier condition, these 1994 no-mint mark pennies can fetch millions of dollars at auction. It's not just about the rarity, though. These pennies have a bit of a story. They represent a mistake, a little oversight that turned into a collector's dream. It's like when you accidentally misspell a word in a tweet, and suddenly you get 100,000 retweets. This oops moment by the U.S. Mint has created one of the most sought-after coins in recent memory. Now, let me share a little story from my own coin hunting days. I remember scouring through old jars of loose change at my grandpa's house. He always had a collection of coins that he was sure were valuable. You know the type, old pennies, nickels, and quarters tossed in a jar. Well, I dug through it for hours, finding nothing but 1980s pennies and some that looked like they'd been used as a part of a kid's science experiment. But there, at the bottom, was a coin that caught my eye. A 1994 penny. It wasn't in mint condition, but it got me thinking, what if it was the no mint mark variety? Of course, I didn't find $1 million coin that day. A guy can dream, right? But the point is, sometimes the hunt is half the fun. And if you have any 1994 pennies lying around, it's worth checking them out. You never know when one might turn out to be the rare treasure you're looking for. Maybe it's worth checking that change jar again, or asking your parents if they've been hoarding any of those old pennies from their change drawer. So, to wrap things up, the 1994 no-mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny is one of those coins that went from zero to hero in the coin collecting world. With a current market value of up to $2.7 million, it's definitely a penny worth your attention. Now, here's the deal. If you're like me, you probably didn't think much about pennies when you were younger. But as we've seen, some of these small, everyday coins are anything but ordinary. They've got stories to tell, and with a little luck and some good old-fashioned coin knowledge, you could be sitting on a gold mine without even realizing it. If you want to learn more tips and strategies on finding rare coins that could be worth big bucks, be sure to subscribe to the channel. I'll be posting more videos with insider info on how to spot coins that could turn your spare change into serious cash. And hey, if you've got any tips of your own, or you found a coin that made you rich, drop a comment below. I love hearing about your own coin hunting adventures. Hey there, fellow coin collectors. Let me ask you this. What if I told you that you might have a penny laying around in your collection, your pocket, or buried somewhere in your drawer that could be worth a jaw-dropping $2.8 million? Sounds like a scam, right? I mean, who would think a penny could be worth that much? Well, if you're still skeptical, just wait, because I've got a 1979 Abraham Lincoln penny that could change your life. Well, maybe not overnight, but at least it might change the way you look at pennies. So sit tight. Because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why a tiny little penny from 1979 with a D mint mark could be worth more than most people's houses. I'm going to walk you through how to spot this rare gem and why it's worth a whopping $2.8 million. Let's dive in. All right, let's break it down. First off, let's talk about the 1979 Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, if you're like me, you probably have a pile of pennies just lying around. Maybe some in a jar, a couple on the counter, or maybe even tucked away in that mystery drawer where all things go to hide. You've probably looked at them and thought, it's just a penny. Who cares? But wait, before you toss that 1979 into the it's just a penny pile, let me explain why you should pay a little more attention to it. You see, not all pennies are created equal, and some are incredibly rare and valuable. The 1979 is one of them. In 1979, the U.S. Mint produced a variety of pennies, and most of them were fairly standard. But a select few were struck with a bit of a minting error, and this mistake is what's made them worth millions. The 1979 penny in question has a unique characteristic, a specific type of doubling on the date and mint mark that collectors call the 1979 double die obverse. Now, don't worry. I know double die obverse sounds like something you'd hear in a science fiction movie, but it's not as complicated as it sounds. It's simply a type of minting error where the design gets struck onto the coin twice. This creates a noticeable doubling effect on certain parts of the design, especially the date and the mint mark, in this case, the D mint mark. And that's what makes it so special. I can tell you, finding a coin with this kind of error isn't something that happens every day. It's rare, and that rarity is what drives the value up. But here's the kicker. Most of the 1979 pennies look normal. So, if you're thinking, oh, I've got a bunch of those, you might want to grab a magnifying glass and double-check. Because that one penny in your collection could be the jackpot you didn't know you were sitting on. Let me give you a quick story about how I got into this whole coin collecting thing. Years ago, I inherited a box of old coins from my grandfather. I didn't really think much of it at first. I just stuck them in a drawer and forgot about them. One day, while I was cleaning out the drawer, I came across a 1979 penny and thought, hey, this is the same year as my birth. I wasn't exactly expecting anything special, but for some reason, I decided to give it a closer look. Turns out, it was a 1979 with a slight doubling on the date. It wasn't the $2.8 million variety, but it was still a good find. And that, my friends, is what sparked my interest in coins. Now, imagine if that 1979 penny was the real deal, the one with the doubling and worth $2.8 million. I'd be on a beach somewhere sipping something fancy, and you'd be hearing about it in the news. But that's the point. You never know what's hiding in your collection, and that's what makes coin hunting so exciting. Now, let's talk about how to actually spot this rare penny. First, get yourself a magnifying glass or a good loupe. You'll want to closely examine the date on the penny, and specifically the 9 and the 7. The doubling will usually be most noticeable there. and sometimes it can even be seen on the D mint mark. You're looking for a sort of blurry or shadowed doubling effect. This isn't just a little extra wear or pore strike. It's a real, noticeable error. Once you spot it, congratulations. You found something that could be worth a small fortune. But don't get too excited just yet. While finding a 1979 D double die penny is exciting, it's not guaranteed that it's worth $2.8 million. Condition matters, too. Coins that are in mint or near mint condition are the ones that fetch the big bucks. So, if your coin is a little worn down or has been through a lot, it might not be worth the full value. But hey, even a few $1,000s for a penny is still pretty amazing, right? The 1979 D. Abraham Lincoln penny with that double die obverse error is one of the most valuable coins you could stumble upon. Its current market value is a mind-blowing $2.8 million. But to get there, you've got to make sure you've got one that's in great condition and properly identified. So check your coins carefully, because that little penny you've been ignoring might be the golden ticket to a small fortune. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare coins, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, there are plenty more coin secrets and strategies to share with you. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just starting out, I've got tips and tricks to help you find the hidden gems in your collection, and maybe even turn your penny jar into a treasure chest. Hey there, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Now, I know what you're thinking. A penny? Worth $2.9 million? Yes, you read that right. We're about to dive deep into the world of the 1973 D. Abraham Lincoln penny, a coin that might just be hiding in your pocket change right now. Imagine pulling out your old jar of pennies and finding a hidden gem worth millions. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, buckle up because this penny could be worth more than your car. And I'll tell you exactly how to spot it, what makes it valuable, and why you need to start checking your change more carefully. Now, I know you're probably wondering, how does a simple penny get to be worth that much? That's a fair question. Let me give you some context. The 1973 D penny with a Denver mint mark was released along with millions of other pennies just like it, with little fanfare. But here's the kicker. Some of these coins have a defect that makes them extremely rare and, consequently, insanely valuable. But before we get into the specifics, let's talk a little bit about what makes a penny worth $2.9 million. It all comes down to rarity, condition, and demand. Think of it like finding a vintage comic book. There's a lot of comics out there, but a rare edition in mint condition? That's a gold mine. And the same logic applies to coins. The 1973 D penny became a hot commodity for collectors because, in certain cases, it was struck with a double die error. This means that the coin was minted with an error that resulted in a doubling effect on certain parts of the design. This could show up as a doubled Lincoln's eye, a doubled date, or even doubled lettering. Basically, the coin got a little too much love from the minting press, making it stand out from all the other pennies produced that year. Well, it's all about knowing where to look. First things first, you need to focus on the date and mint mark. Obviously, the coin should be from 1973, and the D mint mark indicates it was produced in Denver. That's step one. But here's where it gets tricky. Not every 1973 D penny is going to be a gold mine. You need to look for that double die error. Now, this can be a bit tricky for beginners, but trust me, it's worth the effort. The key is to get your magnifying glass, or your reading glasses, depending on your age, and really zoom in on the coin. Pay close attention to the date and the lettering on the front. If you notice any doubling or blurring of the letters, you might just have a winner. It's like playing detective, and who doesn't love a good treasure hunt? All right, now let me tell you a little story about my own experience with a coin like this. A couple of years ago, I was going through a box of change that I had been collecting for ages. Just a bunch of random coins, nothing special, right? Well, there I was, sipping my coffee and flipping through the pennies when something caught my eye. I don't know why, but I felt this little tug, like the coin was winking at me. I thought, hey, let me check that one more closely. D penny, and as I stared at it under the magnifying glass, I couldn't believe what I saw. There it was, a doubling effect on the date. My heart raced as I did a quick search online and realized that I might have just stumbled upon something worth a lot more than a cup of coffee. Long story short, I sent it to a professional grader, and it turned out to be a legitimate double die error penny. Now, it didn't quite fetch $2.9 million, but I did sell it for a nice chunk of change. And let me tell you, it was a moment I won't forget. The point is, if I hadn't taken the time to look through that old box of pennies, I never would have found that gem. And that's why you need to be on the lookout too. Every penny has the potential to be worth something more than its face value, especially if you know what to look for. And let's be honest, if I can find a coin worth a few $1,000s just by going through old change, imagine what you could uncover with a little more effort. It's like finding a needle in a haystack, but when you find it, you strike gold. The 1973 D is key here, but there are other coins with similar stories. So check those mint marks. Double die errors, like the one we're talking about today, are worth a lot. So give those pennies the attention they deserve. The better the condition of the coin, the more it's worth. A well-preserved penny can be worth a ton more than one that's been through the ringer. If you think you've found something rare, it's worth getting it professionally graded. A certified grade can drastically increase its value. I know, it's just pennies, but they might be worth more than you think. Hold onto your change and do a little research. It could pay off big time. So, there you have it. The 1973 D. Abraham Lincoln penny, a seemingly humble coin that could be worth a small fortune if you know what to look for. Now, I'm not saying you're going to find a $2.9 million penny in every jar of change you come across, but it's worth checking. You never know when that hidden gem might show up. And hey, if you want more tips on how to find coins worth money, strategies for collecting, and stories of real-life discoveries, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll be here, sharing more tips, tricks, and hopefully more treasure hunts that'll help you become a coin collecting pro. Don't miss out on the next big find. Subscribe now, and let's keep this coin journey going together. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Now, I know you're all here for one reason, and one reason only: learning about coins worth a fortune. Well, get ready for a real gem today, because I'm about to tell you about a penny that could make you a millionaire. Yes, you heard that right. We're talking about the 2008 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny, and this little guy is worth a whopping $3.1 million. You might be thinking, a penny? No way. But trust me, this is no ordinary penny. Stick around, because I'm going to break it down for you, and you might just find a gold mine sitting in your pocket change. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this coin. First things first, what's so special about the 2008 no mint mark Lincoln penny? I mean, come on, we've all seen a ton of pennies in our time. They're that annoying little copper thing you find in the couch cushions, right? But this penny is different. Now, normally, you'll find a mint mark on the pennies that are made at the US Mint. You know, the little D for Denver or P for Philadelphia. But for some reason, the 2008 penny doesn't have any mint mark on it. This missing mint mark is what makes it so rare. It's like a treasure hunt where the prize is a tiny little penny. But why does the lack of a mint mark make it so valuable? Well, here's the deal. The mint mark usually indicates which mint produced the coin. So when this penny was struck in 2008, the Philadelphia Mint accidentally left off the mint mark on a few of them. And that tiny error makes it a hot commodity. Okay, let's take a look at the numbers. When you think of pennies, the first thing that probably pops into your head is, oh, it's worth 1 cent. Right? Well, in the case of the 2008 no mint mark penny, that could be true if you find one that's not in great condition. But if you've got a mint condition version, hold on tight. These bad boys are selling for anywhere between $1 million to $3.1 million, depending on the quality and rarity of the coin you've got. We're talking about a penny that could buy you a brand new car or, you know, a vacation home if you've got the right one. Sounds pretty wild, right? But it's not just about finding one of these rare pennies. You also need to know what to look for to spot the ones that are actually worth that jaw-dropping amount of cash. It's all about the condition of the coin. If it's got scratches, stains, or any significant wear and tear, you can forget about turning it into a fortune. But if your penny is in near-perfect or uncirculated condition, well, you could be sitting on a gold mine. Here's where I have to share a little personal story with you. A few years ago, I was going through some old change jars that I'd collected over the years. You know, the ones that sit at the back of your closet and just gather dust. I pulled out a few coins and found an old penny that caught my eye. It was from 2008, but it had no mint mark. I thought, that's kind of weird. Could this be the one? I took it to a local coin shop, and wouldn't you know it, the guy behind the counter went from casual to wide-eyed in a split second. He took a closer look, and sure enough, it was a no mint mark 2008 Lincoln penny. At the time, it wasn't worth $3.1 million, but it was still a pretty nice little find. I couldn't help but feel like I was holding a piece of history in my hand. Now, you might be thinking, how do I find one of these pennies? Well, you're not going to find them just lying around on the sidewalk. Or, at least, I hope not. because that would mean I was wrong about this whole treasure hunting thing. But there are a couple of ways to increase your chances of finding one. First off, check your change regularly. I know, it sounds like something your grandma would tell you, but trust me, you can still find these rare coins in circulation. And second, check your coin rolls. Many people have luck hunting for rare coins this way, and you might just score a 2008 no mint mark penny without even realizing it. The 2008 no mint mark Lincoln penny is a rare and valuable coin that could be worth $3.1 million. Yes, you read that right, million. If you're out there digging through your change jar or rolls of coins, keep an eye out for that special one. And remember, it's not just about finding any penny. You need to find one in great condition to get that kind of value. Now, I don't know about you, but after learning about this, I'm definitely going to be keeping a closer eye on my pennies. If I happen to find one of these, you bet I'll be jumping up and down in excitement, and I'll be sure to keep you all in the loop about it. I've got more tips and tricks for finding rare coins and maximizing your coin collection. If you're serious about turning your change into a fortune, hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and drop a comment down below telling me about your best coin finds. And as always, remember, you never know when a simple penny might turn into a gold mine. Keep hunting. You know, I've always thought the best things in life were free. A beautiful sunset, a heartfelt conversation, the last slice of pizza at a party. Those little moments, right? But then, I found out about this 1967 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny worth a staggering $3.2 million. And well, let's just say I now believe that some good things are way more than just free. They're worth a fortune. You're probably thinking, wait, a penny? Yep, that's right. A penny that could make you richer than you ever imagined. So buckle up, my friend, because today we're diving deep into one of the most jaw-dropping finds in the coin world. The 1967 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty of this coin. The 1967 no mint mark penny is one of those rare gems that not only looks like any old penny you might find stuck to the bottom of your couch cushions, but it's also worth more than most people's entire savings. It's not the type of coin you're going to see every day, which is exactly what makes it so special. And hey, if you happen to stumble across one, you're about to enter the big leagues of coin collecting. Normally, you'd expect to see a mint mark on the coin, indicating where it was produced: Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, you name it. But for some reason, the 1967 penny made in Philadelphia was produced without one. And let me tell you, that small oversight turned out to be a big deal. Now, how does a coin that looks pretty standard end up being worth $3.2 million? Let me break it down. The key here is rarity. Mint marks on pennies are crucial for collectors because they indicate where and how many were produced. When a coin is missing a mint mark, it's a sign that something went off script during production. The 1967 no mint mark penny is an anomaly, and when collectors find one, it's like stumbling upon a hidden treasure chest full of gold. It's a mistake that turned into an opportunity. And honestly, that's the kind of story I'm all about. A small mistake turns into something big. We all know how that feels, right? Maybe you've made a mistake in life, but that one mistake turned into a major win down the road. Happens to the best of us.to put it into perspective. Let's talk about my experience with coin collecting. I'll admit, I wasn't always into it. In fact, my first real coin moment came when I inherited a box of old pennies from my grandfather. It was his thing, you know? A little dusty box with some change that looked, well, kind of sad. But as I dug through those pennies, I found an old 1943 steel penny, which turned out to be worth quite a bit more than I expected. That was my aha moment. Just like the 1967 no mint mark penny, I realized how much value can be hidden in something that seems so ordinary. I felt like I had just discovered a gold mine, no pun intended, in the form of a humble little penny.so. What makes this 1967 no mint mark penny so valuable today? Beyond rarity, it's about the story behind it. Coins like this are history frozen in time. The 1967 no mint mark penny was struck during a time of transition in the U.S. Mint. There were changes in the way coins were produced, and this little oversight became a valuable error. You've got to love how things work out that way, but just finding one of these pennies isn't enough. You've got to know how to identify it. So here's the trick. Look at the date. It has to be 1967, and it has to be a Philadelphia strike, meaning no mint mark. Make sure it's in great condition too. A well-preserved penny will obviously fetch more than a worn-out one that's been through the ringer. And trust me, finding one of these in good condition is like finding a unicorn. If you've got one of these rare gems, Hold on to it tightly. You're sitting on a small fortune. When you're out there hunting for coins or going through your spare change, remember this. Sometimes, what looks like a regular penny could be your ticket to a jackpot. The 1967 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is a reminder that treasure can be found in the most unexpected places. It's like the universe is saying, yeah, life's not always as simple as it seems, but sometimes you just gotta spot the small, hidden opportunities. Now, I know you're probably thinking, okay, that's awesome, but how can I find one of these myself? Well, don't worry, I've got you covered. Stick around for more tips and tricks on how to spot rare coins, and I'll share everything I know. You might not find one of these pennies overnight, but there's a whole world of valuable coins out there waiting for you to discover them. And if you enjoyed today's deep dive into the world of rare coins, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I've got tons of videos coming up where we'll dive into more coins worth money, strategies for spotting them, and maybe even a few more jaw-dropping stories. You never know what treasure might be hiding in your own change jar. Subscribe now, and let's make some serious coin together. Who knows? You might just find your own $3.2 million penny next. Hey there, coin lovers. Picture this. You're going through a stack of pennies, looking for the usual suspects, worn-out coins, or maybe something that's just a little bit off. But wait, you spot something that catches your eye, a 1979 penny with no mint mark. No big deal, right? Just another penny? Well, not exactly. Hold on to your seats, because that little coin could be worth a staggering $3.3 million. Yep, you heard that right. A penny worth millions. Stick around, because today we're diving into the world of the 1979 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny and why it might just be the most valuable piece of change you never knew you had. Let me tell you, when I first heard about this coin, I couldn't believe it either. I mean, a penny? Worth millions? I was skeptical. It seemed like one of those too-good-to-be-true stories you hear at a family barbecue. You know, the kind where your uncle swears he found a rare coin in his pocket and it's worth more than his house. But when I dug deeper, I realized this wasn't just some random story. So let's get into the specifics. The 1979 penny with no mint mark is a true rarity. First of all, most pennies produced in 1979 were stamped with a mint mark, indicating whether they were made in Philadelphia, P, Denver, D, or San Francisco, S. But in some rare instances, a handful of pennies were released without any mint mark at all. Now, here's the kicker. These mintless pennies are incredibly rare and are highly sought after by collectors. You might think, but it's just a penny, right? Well, it's all about scarcity and condition, folks. You see, the 1979 no-mint mark penny wasn't intentionally made to be rare. It was a mistake, a little fluke in the minting process. But in the world of coin collecting, that mistake turned into gold. Well, not literally, but pretty darn close. These pennies are considered one of the rarest finds in modern U.S. coinage. And in perfect condition, with minimal wear, this penny can fetch anywhere from a few $1,000s to over $3 million at auction. And the crazy part is, these pennies have been discovered in the most random places, penny jars, change jars, or even tucked away in your grandmother's old coin collection. So, if you're like me, you might want to go dig through your spare change drawer after hearing this. You could be sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. How can a mistake at the minting process turn into something so valuable? Well, that's the beauty of coin collecting. It's all about the unexpected. Collectors love rarity, and when you find something that's not supposed to be there, like a missing mint mark, people go wild. The 1979 no mint mark penny is a prime example of how a little mistake can lead to a huge payday. But of course, the value also depends on the condition of the coin. A mint condition 1979 penny with no mint mark is going to be worth a lot more than one that's been through the ringer, tossed around in your pocket for years. So, if you find one of these pennies, you're definitely going to want to keep it in a safe place, away from those pesky coffee spills. I'll admit, I had my own aha moment with coin collecting a few years back. I was going through a jar of old change I found in the attic, thinking it was full of worthless coins. As I sifted through the pennies, I stumbled upon a 1943 copper penny. I'd heard rumors about the 1943 copper pennies being worth a lot, but I never thought I'd actually find one. Turns out, it was worth over $100,000. That was a huge shock. So now, I'm hooked on coin hunting. Every time I get change, I'm checking for mint marks, unusual years, and anything that stands out. And after hearing about the 1979 no mint mark penny, you can bet I'm paying even more attention to those pennies from the late 70s. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the lucky one to find a 1979 penny without the mint mark. And when you do, you'll thank me later. So, here's the deal. The 1979 no mint mark penny is more than just pocket change. It's a rare treasure waiting to be discovered. Whether you've got a jar of old pennies at home or you're just starting your coin collecting journey, keep your eyes peeled for this little gem. A penny that could be worth millions is a chance that doesn't come around often. But don't stop there. This is just one example of the many coins out there that could make you a fortune. Want to keep finding out which coins are worth big money? Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos on rare coins, collecting tips, and strategies. Trust me, you don't want to miss the next video, because who knows? The next coin you find could be worth way more than you ever imagined. You ever dig through a jar of pennies at the bottom of your drawer, only to find a shiny one that stands out? Maybe you think, oh, it's just a penny, and toss it aside. But hold on. What if I told you that one single penny could be worth a jaw-dropping $3.4 million? Yeah, you heard me right, a penny. And not just any penny, we're talking about the 2003 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Now, before you go diving into your couch cushions or running to check your spare change jar, let's slow down for a sec and talk about how a coin that's just sitting there could end up being worth more than a house, a car, or even your kid's college tuition. Well, depending on where you live. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll be looking at every penny like it could be your ticket to a fortune. So, what makes this 2003 no mint mark penny so special? Well, it all starts with the fact that this coin is a rare anomaly. You see, most pennies that are minted have a little P, D, or S stamp on them, indicating the mint where it was produced. The P stands for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco. But the 2003 no mint mark penny? It has no mint mark at all. No P, no D, nothing. Just a plain OL penny with Abe's face staring back at you. But that plainness is exactly what makes it so rare and valuable. Now, let's rewind a bit and take a walk down memory lane. I remember the first time I stumbled upon a coin like this. No mint mark, just hanging out in a pile of change. I didn't think much of it. In fact, I thought it was probably just a weird printing mistake, something that wouldn't fetch much more than a few cents. But then, I started doing some research because, let's face it, I'm obsessed with finding coins that are worth more than their face value. And let me tell you, when I found out what this penny was worth, I was floored. The 2003 no mint mark penny is considered one of the most sought-after coins among collectors today. And here's where it gets interesting. There are only a small number of these coins out there. The mint simply made a mistake and forgot to stamp the mint mark on a handful of pennies during production, making these coins incredibly rare. Now, you may be wondering, how can something as simple as a missing letter make such a difference? Well, rarity equals value, my friend. But just because you find one of these pennies doesn't automatically mean you're a millionaire. There are some key factors that determine whether your 2003 no mint mark penny is worth the big bucks. First, the condition matters a lot. If you've got a penny that's been banged up and worn down, you're looking at less money in your pocket. But if you've got one that's in great shape, well, you could be sitting on a small fortune. The best ones are in what's called uncirculated condition, meaning they've never been used in everyday transactions and still have that fresh, shiny look to them. Another factor is the demand. Like I said, there are only a limited number of these pennies out there, so collectors are on the lookout for them. If you've got a perfect specimen and you're ready to sell, don't be surprised if you get offers that make your head spin. And yes, we're talking about the $3.4 million price tag here. It's a little mind-boggling, right? Now, you might be thinking, how do I know if my penny is the real deal? Well, here's where it gets even more fun. You're going to need to check a few things to authenticate the coin. It's not just about staring at it and hoping for a moment of clarity like you're in some sort of treasure hunting movie. Get yourself a magnifying glass and really look closely. Does it have that signature smooth edge and weight? How about the details? Are they crisp, or are they a little worn down from circulation? The clearer and sharper the coin, the more likely it is to fetch top dollar. But don't panic if you don't know much about coins. There's always the option of getting your penny professionally graded. A grading service can give you an official appraisal and let you know how valuable your coin really is. Trust me, it's worth the small investment to find out if you've got something special. Let's take a little detour here and talk about a personal experience I had. I remember, a few years ago, I had a penny I found in a roll at a local coin shop. I wasn't sure if it was rare, but it definitely looked different from the rest. Turns out, it wasn't the 2003 no mint mark penny, but I thought I had struck gold for a second. The excitement I felt for that brief moment was unreal. It was like winning the lottery in slow motion. Even though it wasn't the big find I hoped for, the feeling of holding a coin that could be worth something more kept me hooked on coin collecting. And that, my friends, is the thrill of it all. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, what happens if you don't have a 2003 no-mint mark penny but still want to collect rare coins? Well, here's the kicker. There are tons of valuable coins out there waiting to be discovered. We're talking about coins worth hundreds, thousands, and yes, millions. From rare quarters to forgotten dimes, coin collecting is like a treasure hunt where the prize could be right in your hands. It's a hobby that pays off in more ways than one. That a simple penny, just one single coin, can be worth millions if it's the rare 2003 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. And while you may not stumble upon one in your spare change today, the lesson here is that there's a world of rare and valuable coins out there just waiting to be discovered. Who knows? The next time you check your pocket change, you might just find a little gold mine. But here's the thing. If you want to keep up with tips and strategies for finding coins worth money, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll keep sharing my best finds, coin collecting secrets, and stories so you can get in on the action. You don't want to miss out on a chance to learn how to turn your pennies or quarters or dimes into a serious cash haul. So don't wait. Subscribe now, and let's keep this treasure hunt going. Who knows, your next coin could be the next big discovery. Hey, what's up, coin enthusiasts? You ever hear someone say, "Oh, that's just a penny," and then walk away? Well, those people don't know what they're missing. Imagine walking past a coin, thinking it's worth nothing, but in reality, it could be worth millions. That's right. Today we're talking about the 2014 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. You might think pennies are just loose change that ends up in the bottom of your drawer or stuck between your car seats. But what if I told you that one of these little guys could be worth up to $3.50 million? Yeah, I know. You're probably thinking, hold on, that can't be right. But trust me, it is. And today we're going to break down how that happened, why it's so valuable, and how you can get your hands on one, or at least spot one when it's staring you in the face. But first, make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash that notification bell so you never miss a chance to learn about more coins that could make you rich. Let's get into it. All right, before we start daydreaming about what we could do with $3.5 million, let's talk about the specifics of the 2014 no-mint mark penny. So, what makes this particular penny so special? Well, to understand that, we need to dive into a little coin history. Back in 2014, the US Mint decided to stop adding mint marks to most of their coins. Now, for collectors, mint marks are like a stamp of authenticity. They tell you where the coin was made: Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But for some reason, they missed one important thing: the 2014 pennies. Some of them came out without a mint mark at all. You'd think, all right, no mint mark, no big deal, right? But here's the twist. A missing mint mark on a coin that was supposed to have one immediately catches the eye of collectors. You see, collectors love things that are out of the ordinary, and the absence of that tiny mint mark turned this penny into a rare find. Here's where the fun starts. You might have heard that rare coins are worth a ton of money, but what you probably don't know is how much of a jump the 2014 no-mint mark penny has made in value. At the time of release, this coin wasn't really worth anything out of the ordinary. A penny's a penny, right? But once coin collectors caught wind of its rarity, the prices started to skyrocket. Now, the market value of these pennies can reach up to $3.5 million. Yep, that's million with an M. So what makes this penny worth so much? Well, in the world of coin collecting, rarity and condition are everything. The 2014 no-mint mark penny is incredibly rare. There weren't that many of them made, and they were quickly snatched up by savvy collectors who knew what they had. But as with any rare coin, it's all about condition. The better condition the penny is in, the more valuable it becomes. Coins with little wear and tear are worth significantly more than those that have been bounced around in a coin jar for years. That's the thing about rare coins. Condition is king. If you can find one of these pennies that's still in mint condition, you're looking at a jackpot. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, great, but how the heck do I find one of these things? It's not like they're sitting in every pocket change jar, right? Well, you're right. But there are still ways to track down this rare coin. First off, take a close look at any 2014 pennies you come across. Make sure you're checking the mint mark area closely. If you find a penny with no mint mark, bingo, you've found yourself a potential gold mine. But don't just stop there. Look for other signs of rarity. For example, you want to make sure the coin is well preserved, with minimal signs of wear and tear. A coin that's been in circulation for years will have some scratches, dings, and discoloration, which can dramatically reduce its value. You can also check with coin dealers or look for auctions. Some people who have found these rare pennies don't even know what they have, so they might sell them for less than they're worth. Keep your eyes peeled, and you might just get lucky. My coin hunting adventure, all right. Let me tell you a quick story. A couple of years ago, I was going through some old change I'd collected over time. You know, the kind of stuff you throw into a jar and forget about. I wasn't expecting to find anything valuable. I was just looking for spare change for a coffee run. But as I went through the pile, I found a penny from 2014. I didn't think much of it, but something told me to check it out. Lo and behold, it was a 2014 no mint mark penny.at first. I was like, nah, this can't be real. But then I did some research. I freaked out. I had just stumbled upon a coin that was worth a boatload of money. I wasn't quite sure how to go about selling it, but the thought of what I could do with that kind of cash was pretty wild. Sadly, I didn't end up selling it for $3.5 million. I know, big shocker, but it did spark my interest in coin collecting. I realized that the world of coins is full of hidden treasures, just waiting to be discovered. If this whole rare coin thing has you intrigued, maybe now's the time to dip your toes into the world of coin collecting. It's not just about finding million-dollar coins, it's also about appreciating the history behind them. Each coin tells a story. Whether it's a coin from a different era or one that was part of a limited run, there's something fascinating about owning a piece of history. If you're serious about coin collecting, start small. Pick up a few coins here and there, and do your research. It's also a good idea to join online communities or forums where you can talk to other collectors. Trust me, there's a lot to learn, and you can always pick up some great tips from people who know their stuff. Plus, it's just fun to be a part of something like this. To wrap things up, the 2014 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny might just be sitting in your change jar right now, waiting to make you a small fortune. Who would have thought a penny could be worth so much? But as with any rare coin, it's all about being in the right place at the right time and knowing what to look for. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about coins that could be worth big money, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on future videos. We've got plenty of tips and strategies coming your way, and who knows, maybe the next rare coin you find will be worth millions.